with Blaze, and we're going to make sure that we are forcing them back. That was incredibly difficult to handle, and they did it very well. So we can't understate that. It was awesome to watch, but it was also really tricky to play from Dignitas' perspective, and they did it well.
And one last note on that game number 1. How about a wind tunnel to counter a Genji engage? Well, what about that, man? The best thing about that, too, is that wind tunnel has to be against the wall, so Genji can't just slide out and try to come around the fight at a different angle. And Snitch found it 3 out of the 4 times. That was really cool to see.
Every single time Genji went in, False was like, GTFO, dude. Just like right out there. You're not going to do anything here.
I'll be honest, it was kind of satisfying to watch a Genji get completely bodied like that in the last fight. That was like, you know what? This kind of sucks for Method, but this is kind of good for mankind.
People watching at home, everybody that played a squishy backliners are like, you're right in the face, right there.
You take those 5 forms of CC and you get deleted.
That's what it feels like.
Well, Garrosh taking it out.
A bit like Loki in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, right.
Thor finally gets thrown around a little bit. That was an awesome scene, by the way.
What a good movie. What a good flick.
Yeah, Thor Ragnarok, definitely the best one of the series. And it was really entertaining. I really liked that. I love that they put a bit of humor into that.
I think entertaining factor for sure, but in terms of the best out of the Marvel Universe, I really enjoyed Civil War. I really
No, I mean from the Thor
series. Yeah.
Oh, from the Thor series. Like, I mean,
hands down. Not even like a competition. I didn't even know they had 2 movies, let's be honest.
It's like the 4th Indiana Jones movie. It never happened. There's only 3. So, Garrosh banned out and Diablo banned out. Our top 2 tanks that we have in the meta, we've talked about them both sitting at roughly 7% win ratio in Europe with roughly 40 games played each. Very powerful, both of them, and Method and Dignitas simply agree that on this map, too strong, so get right out of that.
We'll get different tanks. Feels good, man. Sonya.
First pick.
First pick for Method. Infernal Shrines makes sense. You immediately establish, okay, we want Shrine control.
Yeah. And also, it looked good last time that they played it. I mean, Aethero had some very interesting escapes there. So the great escape up at the top left, that was very impressive. Getting ganked by 5 players and still moving out of it. It was just like, okay.
Yeah.
Can I have you in my Hero League team?
And it seems to suit his playstyle. He seems to be one of those guys that's like, okay, if I can find that flanking, I can get a kill. Like, I want to do that, right? Yeah. Did a few times. The Dignitas was aware of that. They peeled back multiple times to make sure that Sonya wasn't effective. But it's still something that, even if you weren't able to get those kills with, that threat is still a great pickup. And Method just wants to go for it on their first pick, and I agree with it.
I'm a bit interested to see what happens around Medivh, because Medivh hasn't been banned out in this. We haven't seen him picked in the last one either. It's still a hero that really interests me, because on the side of Method, you normally think, well, we want to have something a bit more impactful for Shrimpy, but then you can set so much up, especially if you have a Sonya on your hands. You can really protect her, you can allow her to go super deep and then portal her out. So Medivh is something that I'm interested in if we see that in the series. But on the other hand, Dignitas is opening up with Malfurion. It's the top healer for Zelia to take. Talked a lot about this. I mean, he turned 5 versus 3s around by simply stepping up at the perfect moment in time, dropping the Twilight Dream and just saying, okay, boys, get them. And we have the OG Junkrat on Snitch.
Professional grenade hitter, man. Junkrat here for Snitch. Maybe looking to poke, and if Sonya oversteps, get that displacement. Always a threat you have to worry about. It makes engaging into a Junkrat and his team so difficult.
5-1. Dignitas is 5-1 on Junkrat. And they have... I feel they're still the strongest team with Junkrat. If you look at Fnatic, they're 3-0, so they have 100%, but they only played half the amount of games that Dignitas has played with a hero. So I don't feel too bad saying that I feel Dignitas is by far the best team dealing with Junkrat and playing with Junkrat. And so that's something that I'm definitely looking forward to, what Snitch can again pull off with the setup. But let's look at Method. Stukov and Hanzo. Okay.
Simple and clean picks. Good control over the Shrine and ability to clear out those minions quick. Team Dignitas will have to find a way to either fight that and be kind of willing to move in and shut down the Sonya, or they may just have to give up these Shrines.
Now, the interesting thing for me is that on paper, again, the stats, of course, you have to always take them with a bit of a caveat, but on paper, Method is by far the worst team with Stukov. They are 0-4, so they haven't found a single win with him yet. And they had a bit of a rough time coming from the Western Clash, as we said, at the Western Clash itself. They didn't really look too good, and they were the biggest critics at that point. But yeah, let's see if that's going to be the first winner for them with Stukov, because the setup that they are building together here is really good. You have Hanzo for the damage on the Shrine, you have Sonya to take control of the Shrine itself and to really establish the presence. Stukov can either cut a path of retreat off or make it very difficult for the opponent to engage into it.
Do you bet on Nubrak here? just to see what exactly Method's going to run into. We've had Johanna for Arcaner, and that was pretty decent. But with Stukov, you wanted a hard engaged tank. Looks like they're going to ban out the Medivh, but...
Yeah, and Nubarak, I mean, Method played fair amount with Nubarak, but for the reasons that I pointed out earlier, I like the Medivh ban. I expected it, if taken, then on the side of Method, because I really feel it just works so well with that Sonya, especially.
Alright then, well, Medivh gone, Genji as well, to clean up any kills that are coming there, so Method making sure that the backline is nice and safe, allowing Sonya to be able to keep moving in.
Could still see a Tracer combo.
True.
We have seen Tracer on this battleground, so it's something that is played. It's not really picked always franchises in the map that screams Tracer, but it has been played with great success here, and Dignitas is looking at a 9-0 with Tracer. We have Malfurion already picked up, so they could do that. And of course, the next question is immediately what's going to be the tank that we are having for them.
I don't mind seeing Muradin again, honestly.
They haven't played Muradin on this map yet, Dignitas that is.
Yeah.
We've seen them with a lot of Leoric on the side lane, so they haven't chosen the side lane laner yet either. But in terms of the front line, Muradin not really a go-to for them. Very heavy on Diablo, but he's banned out.
Yeah,
We have seen a bit of jungle play. There's the Tracer, I like it, and the Tassadart on top of it, okay.
Is that a Wobby Tassadar?
Has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wooby gonna be on Tassadar here, very likely. And then front line, I guess you can more or less play anything at that point of the front line here.
I still remember when you ran Rhaegar last year, and I was like, wait a minute, Wobby on Rhaegar? And then he just like completely chewed down anyone that was in front of him and dropped down like the most insane totems. I'm like,
what do you mean I'm not an assassin?
yeah, what do you mean I can't be an assassin? What is this life? Okay. Tracer composition, we'll get our main tank later on. Method on their side, they're going to need their own main tank.
I could see them with Johanna again.
Yeah. Especially with Stukov.
Make it a little bit more difficult for Tracer, getting a blind in every now and then.
Do you get Blaze here, maybe? Is that way you have
They have
Bunker?
Sony already. If they if they play Blaze as the main tank, they could. But
I'm gonna dodge out that pulse bomb.
I mean, to be honest, I thought it would be cool because we have seen Arcana so much on Blaze. Here's Johanna. That's what we more so expected. But it would have been a cool twist if, like, the former offlaner now plays the same hero in the main tank position.
Well, there it is.
Maiev.
I mean, ETC still up. Like, ETC and Maiev / Johanna can be a little difficult, though.
I mean, you can play Muradin again if you really wanted to. In the past, they've played Nubarak on the map. And Infernal Shrines, when it comes to the tanks for Dignitas, they were very, very locked down in having either Diablo or playing with the Nubarak. Those were the two big ones for them that they played here. So outside of that, there was very little deviation when it comes to tanks, but we could still see Muradin being taken. If it's just about survivability, he doesn't really have the same presence and the same opportunities on the shrine than other heroes have. But if they just feel they need a strong tank that has survivability and can really deal with a few stuns and throw a bit of a wrench into the plans of Method, it might be the choice for them.
I'm on a Nubarak to help with that Maiev. We're gonna be low.
Stitches.
Ooh, an oldie but a good one.
Again, Stitches has 100% in Europe. Stitches has 100% win rate. He is 6-0.
It's time to hook. I'm sad I can't say bakery. It's time to hook. Zelia, it's time to hook. Doesn't seem to have the same ring.
Stitches wants to play.
Stitches wants to play. Stitches coming out here. An oldie one from Dignitas, but one that GPL showed in the past, back when they used to run the Kelthos Tirana Stitches compositions.
I'm always happy to see Stitches. He has that winning smile that I really cherish.
Yeah, full of candy canes and stuff, especially on the skin.
Beautiful.
And it's just gorgeous.
What gorge pun? Nice.
Nailed on today.
Also unintended. Wow.
This is a good Sunday cast, man.
You're just like throwing them out without even thinking about them.
I know, man. They just come out.
The expert pun earlier. Stitches is gorgeous.
That's not even how I laugh. Let's get ready for game number 2.
I can't copy your laugh. That's my problem. I have no chance. I tried once.
You gotta like cough halfway through your laugh.
You're coughing.
I don't know. Like it just takes over my air control. Like I can't. Like I just find it so funny that I actually can't breathe, and that's like it's
coming. Can you show me?
No, I can't just like randomly cough.
Why? I don't want you to cough. I want you to laugh.
There you go.
Okay, game number 2. Ladies and gentlemen, Method versus Dignitas after we saw the thriller on Dragonshire in 35 minutes with Infernal Shrines now coming up, and Arcana again on Johanna, Ethereal once more on Sonya, this time Stukov played by Curson, and we have Maiev Schwimpy on her with Nick on Hanzo.
Over to Dignitas. Poik to play Tracer, JPL on Stitches, Wubby on the Tassadar, Zalia on Malfurion, and Snitch on Junkrat. It's been a while since we've seen Poik on Tracer, but I see it, I get excited. I get all tingly, man.
I'm more excited to see Stitches.
Yeah?
Stitches with a surfboard here in style. It's Christmas time apparently in France. So yeah, let's see if those hooks are going to be on point. I mean, the whole idea here, of course, is in the first place to get a Stitches hook in and then root them down with Malfurion. But you can also play around the concussive mine and throw them in even further.
Kadin comes out, and there's that hook you were talking about. Oh my Arcaner.
That's exactly what I just said. Thanks for making me look good, but that was a perfect setup. In, root, boom, over the wall.
Poor Arcaner, dude. I'm sorry, buddy.
I thought that was insanely funny.
That was. But that hurts. That happens, and you're just like, okay, well, your hand just dropped from your keyboard, and like, all right.
Johanna just through the entire flight is like, WTF, what's happening here? All right.
But Method fight back, come up and start clearing. They make sure not to miss a lick of experience, so they're not going to let that dissuade them from trying to get a victory on their opponents.
Lick of experience, Dehaka jokes. You have no Dehaka in, dude. You have to time your puns a little
save
bit.
that one for later. Let me write that down.
Yeah, but again, that was an awesome opening, so I like that a lot. I mean, Stitches, of course, has a couple of other aspects to him. As we're seeing the Slam build already starting up for JPL, they really want to use him with this AoE on the Shrines to get a bit more wave play in, but also to just simply make sure that they are going to win those punishers. So, good setup here for Dignitas, a good start into it. That kill, of course, didn't really give them a lead. This early in the game, we have insanely small gains that you get from a kill, and as it happened on, I mean, death timers are so low. Yeah. But it was definitely a cool start.
You just don't let it affect you. Like, okay, well, that happened. We know what they're capable of. To get a learning lesson, and just make sure you keep on soaking. You can see an experience bar, just barely a smidgen ahead here, Dignitas, but Method able to clear up the middle wave and be able to catch up with them pretty darn easily. Now looking over to it, Tracer going Tracer rounds here, instead of going for the level 1 that gives you pulse bombs a little bit quicker.
We see that a little bit more often these days.
Yeah, just try and keep an eye on your opponent's visions is key, especially around those corridors. You don't want to walk into Johanna with a Condemn, so being able to drop down that Tracer reveal gives you a little bit more control. And it also helps, especially with that Oracle coming in for Tassadar, just being able to see everything. Yeah,
and of course already Tracer being a pest here, especially after level 4 from Tassadar, making sure that they have an impact with that. We see Broccoli again as the talent on level 4. Of course, traditional name being Vengeful Roots. That is a talent that should be renamed.
Just to Broccoli?
Yeah.
I think community would agree with that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't think there'd be too little pushback.
Type 1 if you agree. Cam control.
Oh, I'm also thinking about the level 4 build. For Stitches, moving into Slam, this comes on level 7. That's when you get that extra damage on your Slam. Toxins being a little bit annoying. And that actually really helps you around the Shrines and trying to clear those up. So Team Dignitas trying to get that 7 power spike for Stitches. And then around level 16 is where it really all comes together, being able to get that additional slow, chase down targets, which would be helpful for Tracer and Junkrat even for grenades.
Yeah, it's also going to be insanely annoying for Hanzo and Maiev to get out of that, so that's another really big aspect. The thing is that Method has a really good presence on the Shrine too. We talked about Sonya a bit earlier. Hanzo, of course, adds to that, and so does Johanna, so they are easily taking the lead here. We've also seen Method with a really nice setup with camps, so they took the camp at the bot lane and the one at the top and timed those out really well. Now with a massive lead in stacks, and they should be able to grab that first Punisher if they continue their play. Johanna is already in there, 32 against 7. Very little chance of Dignitas to steal that away.
Yeah, they're just trying to say, Method, come finish this here while we're pushing out of the lanes. We just want to make sure that we have the lanes pushing in going into our favor. Method obliges to come over and clear that puppy out. So they'll be pushing in this mid lane. Dignitas should be able to clear it up. But for the most part, Method actually did pretty well. They held on to their side lanes, they stayed up in experience, and they won the Punisher. They should feel pretty good about that interaction. Yeah,
here comes now the 7 that you've been talking about that really starts to round out the Stitches comp. The Toxic Gas is now taken. And in the meantime, we're having the Punisher baited over the wall and already chunked down to half HP. Method, of course, is trying to at least get the wall out of this, at least the 2 towers, which gives them the experience. Schwimpy got also flipped over, so they need to take the actual wall down. Here comes a nice hook into Root. Well done. Ethereal moving out and gets taken apart. JPL falling a bit low. but still able with the Devour to keep himself alive, and of course with the Azalea also supplying a bit of additional heal from the backlines. A good job by Dignitas, getting a kill.
It's just so beautiful watching Malfurion and Stitches together. The hook into the root, that synergy between support and main tank. It's something that you like yearn for, right? When you go into Hero League, like if you have a Malfurion, you pick a Stitches, like, all right, please just follow up my roots. They never happen. But we see competitive play, and you see these teams pull it off so wonderfully. It just inspires you to want to go home and play it yourself. Azalea falling up on the root every single time. Jippy is like, hey, I have a hook, tosses it out. Azalea trusts, and they get that kill because of it.
Yeah, it was extremely well done here by Dignitas, and then this was the second hook that really netted a kill for them. The earlier one, of course, the one where Snitch immediately followed up. Shrimpy down here. Just barely getting away.
Yeah, Snitch was trying to pop him over the wall, but Shrimpy at the last second.
I mean, the grenades
pivoted.
too.
Yeah.
Nearly killed behind the wall here. Johanna still holding that mid lane. In experience, Dignitas is still on par with Method, even though they lost the towers, they're totally fine here. And that scares me slightly for Method, but just in general, it's about the level 10s. That's when the Warden Cage comes in. That's when we're again seeing the silence coming through.
Silence, Dragon Zero, Condemn.
Yeah,
Pretty deadly combo for Method.
if you set it up properly, if you get that perfect cage, then yeah, you can do a lot with it. I'm a bit interested to still see what Dignitas is going to do on level 10 with JPL, if they're actually going to go into Gorge. Because if you play on Infernal Shrines, it's always just so tempting to go straight into Putrid Bile. You have just way more presence on the shrine itself. But if they feel that they have to play around these isolation kills, and if they think they can blow anyone apart that they hit here, especially since there's no cleanse, they could also play Gorge. But nah, it's Putrid Bile, so going more team fight focused.
Helpful getting Sonya, slowing her down a little bit. Get that hook, you're able to make sure that you can zone out the rest of the targets and also slow down that opponent that you did pick off. Team Dignitas going to be running with that Putrid Bile. It's one that JPL's mentioned in the past that he just seems to enjoy a little bit more in terms of what it gives you. Shrine will be activating to the top soon, but Method hanging in there with Dignitas at level 10. Finally have that combo coming online.
Arcana also being picked up from Dignitas. Tessa held that a bit long. But yeah, we're just waiting for the shrine to happen. There's still a few attempts to push with a couple of these camps. The problem for Method is they can't go too deep. The reason why they actually went this aggressive now is because JPL threw out the hook to get one of those impalers. As soon as they know that the hook is on cooldown, they immediately start to become a bit more aggressive. But always outside of that, they're very reluctant to move into a position where JPL can connect.
Stitches, when you drop that hook, a lesson that you can learn from at home. Force the fight on him. Stitches hates a fight being forced on his area. He just gets body blocked pretty easily, and after he uses that Devour, he doesn't have many tools to stay alive, especially when he's at that 16 and slow members down.
Yeah, now that we have the shrine up at the top lane, this is really where the party is going to start. This is where Method is going to try and unleash their combo around the cage. And Dignitas will... This is a cool thing for Dignitas. They can take position on the shrine with Putrid Bile and also the Riptire, but at the same time they are in a spot where it's pretty easy to fight for them from outside. Whoopi is in an awkward spot here, and he might actually fall, and indeed he does. That was a great setup by Curson. Fantastic silence here.
Really good silence there. Just could not use a dimensional shift, couldn't escape. He just barely got out of range, but Sonya able to finish that kill up with the slam, and Method, because of that, gets an easy Punisher for themselves. Dignitas going to go ahead and give it up and just go ahead and soak in lanes.
Second Punisher for Method. You should try and get a bit more out of this one. So far, experience is still the same. That's, of course, also because Dignitas didn't even fight too much for the shrine. They split heroes into the mid and bot lane, trying to soak experience to get a bit ahead. But with that kill against Tassadar, it's easy for Method to meet that push on those two lanes while still keeping Sonya on the top and grabbing the second Punisher. So Mortar Punisher is now taken. And it's time for Method to put a little bit of muscle onto that top lane and to go through at least the wall and see how much damage they can actually do here.
And that Punisher is actually a bit scary with the composition that is backed up here by Method. The ability for Maiev to go in with a tether off of a Punisher or even a Dragon Zero. Team Dignitas needs to make sure that they are controlling that jump well. Even Stitches himself might be a little terrified. Shrimpy goes in actually for a pull. Grabs JPL, but Wubby right there to give him a shield to keep him alive. Hook comes out, but Arcaner blocks it with an Iron Skin. Punisher jumps in, does a little bit of damage, but Method makes a play for the fort.
Here comes again, pressure against Arcana, good damage against them. Riptire on the way, but that's not going to do too much. Very likely that they're even able to hold on to that fort, but just barely. And all of this just happened because Method walked through the sidewall. So they just opened up the sidewall, and after the first tower was down, they pushed in aggressively, and especially with Shrimpy on Maiev leading the charge, Dignitas didn't want to fall into a trap and end up in the cage. So they moved away, and that allowed Method to turn it around, nearly try and get the kill against Stitches, but then also put more pressure onto the fort itself. So while it hasn't been destroyed, it's so low that it will fall eventually, and that netted a very nice experience lead over to Method. So good job by them, but Dignitas still holding on to this.
Dignitas still holding on to it, but it kind of shows that the composition is looking for those hooks and those picks. We had Tracer move in and put a full combo onto Sonya and get her down to about quarter health, but after that happened, there seemed to be no oomph here for this composition without a Riptire following up. And Method, speaking of engages, goes in on top of JPL, gets the arrow into a Shrimpy engage. The ward and Skate, though, getting completely nullified on this right side as JPL is able to walk on through. Teacher Brow popped up, as well as a hook coming, and Method, although they move him for a fight, aren't able to grab anything.
Really nice move here also just by Stukov as he roots them into the silence. So that was important here with the virulent reaction on 13, because we saw already Stitches and a few moving forward, trying to get the extra damage in. So it was a nice move by Curson. But the cage didn't really do too much. The whole setup didn't really work out. Cooldown apparently on the lurking arm wasn't ready, so they never really could set anything off with it.
Dignitas has a hook up soon. And already in the middle. Want to maybe try and find that pick. Method making a big play for the top lane. It's going to force Junkrat to head up there and try and clear it out. Dignitas actually sending 3 to the top lane to see if maybe they can get a pick on Sonya. Or at least help out with the clear.
I mean, this is just another game that's going to last forever. We're having 3 kills, 11 minutes in, and no fort has fallen yet. Method is going for the long game again.
In the short term, though, instead of a push here on the bottom, with Tracer and Tassler here, the others are going to grab the Mercenaries. I think you're right. It looks like we're going to be moving into one of those late game plays. No major plays for anyone yet.
I don't mind it at all. I thought those were very entertaining so far. And Method is just edging out these small, tiny leads in experience. They're playing a very safe and calculated game. They're just not overly aggressive. They look for opportunities, they try to take them, but they're just willing to play a slow game if their opponent doesn't make any mistakes or open up opportunities for them. So I like that a lot.
As we head to 16, do we maybe move into a fishing hook for JPL just to make sure they can get their fights from far? Hang on, Tracer gets locked down by the silence and gets thrown into the silence by Shrimpy as he gets out. Can't even recall.
Fantastic kill here. Really well set up and at a perfect moment in time. Even forcing JPL to use the Putrid Bile just as the Shrine is about to activate. That's actually great for them. They need to be careful because JPL is likely to throw out a hook here. As the camp is taken, and they even move away from it. I really like that choice for Method because they could have gone for the camp, but they just thought, guys, we have a lead, we can take the Punisher, what could screw it up? If we stay and try and take the camp and he throws a hook and actually lands it, that could be a dead hero and then it's a 4 versus 4. We don't want to risk it, so let's just let it go for now, take maybe our own at some point, but just focus on the Shrine and get another Punisher. 16 versus 16, 2 kills against 2, and so far, things are, at least from an objective perspective, looking good for Method.
And it will be a pulverize here for 16 on the Citrus, looking for those slows. Yeah. Trying to make sure you lock down targets. Landing that on Hanzo. 1 chunks him down on damage thanks to the level 7 pick up there. And also tries to keep Method locked in place while Tracer and Junkrat try to get those kills. Team Dignitas steps up to fight over this Punisher a little bit as Maev's in the top lane, but Method should be able to clear this out pretty soon. Actually, Dig comes in for a kill and Ironskin's down. Does JPL have a hook? He does. He lands it. And Arcaner falls.
Even throwing down the Blessed Shield, he couldn't keep himself alive here. He tried to walk away, but he didn't have enough. So we should still see this one stolen away. Hanzo alone with a good arrow might make that happen. But look how Zelia and JPL are aggressively posturing, trying to create space. They might still lose this after all. Very aggressive positioning here.
I'm expecting Sonya to come in here and just try to force it. She goes in. 36 to 38. Sonya's spinning, and she's able to grab it. A Thorough's low. Hook comes out, but the Thorough sidesteps.
Yeah, barely. And here comes the shove, pushing him back. Another 10 seconds until we're having Johanna back in play. But this is another easy defense against the Punisher. And I feel this is a bit the story of those two teams going up against each other, that whenever they get an objective, at least in the early stages until, let's say, level 20, these objectives don't have the impact that you would expect them to.
Well, especially when you keep losing one fight before you head into the
exactly.
Punisher phase. You need all 5 to kind of push in, and you need that Johanna especially. You need your main tank. And Dignitas clears up the Punisher. Method, on the other hand, goes the opposite side of the map. They want to try and grab this fort.
Ruby is forced into a dimensional shift. The top fort has been now taken. But yeah, this is exactly the point. There's not... Normally when you're talking about the third Punisher in the game and 3 being grabbed, you would expect the map to just open up a lot faster. And that just doesn't happen. Because the kills that we are seeing just happen at the perfect moment in time to set up a defense. And that's very similar to what happened on Dragonshire. The defensive tools that Method had there also worked very well for them. But this is just like in constant back and forth that we have between the two teams here. And we are now looking at level 18. both, I mean, Dignitas and Method are so close in experience, and it's the only kills we've seen so far are very isolated kills on the map.
I feel like when we're casting Method, anything that I typically know about this game needs to just be completely thrown out the window. And just take them for what they are, man. They just mix up the way that we look at the game. Getting picked up, Punisher's here. Not able to get the forts, but as a 5-man, they're able to do so. They get top lane, they get the bottom lane, 2 forts down for Dignitas, so they're starting to open up that map a little bit. Next Punisher that comes in can maybe start to look for keep walls, especially because it's in the top lane.
Yeah, so post bomb being thrown out again, 16 of Sonya immediately counteracts it. But again, both of them heading into 20 at the same pace. Junkrat is trying to get some extra damage on the fort at the top. So we see 5-man rotations from Method now, currently trying to just get a numeric advantage on those lanes where they are pushing in forts. And they have now taken 2. So they start to edge out a structural advantage, but Dignitas is still keeping up in overall experience. And that is, from their perspective, absolutely fantastic. But it's very unlikely that one of these teams is going to get a significant experience lead while it still matters. There's an engage on the other hand, and that's a big one. Junkrat is down. That was fantastic. Seeing the Blaze shield silence and the Hanzo arrow just syncing up completely, and that's an easy kill. Fantastic play by Method once again.
Curson wanting to find that win rate and make it increase a little bit here for them. Finally finding up on those silences. Making sure to get a root, and JPL is the next target. Getting locked down here underneath the fort, but he's healing pretty well here. Zelia keeping him alive. Schwimpy gets slowed down. That Pulverize coming in as JPL slows down all 5 of Method. A 3-0 trying to escape, but JPL, he's chasing. He's going to have another slam up soon.
No way. 4 versus 5. Here comes the Iron Skin. Cooldown on the hook is soon going to be ready again. Nick goes down, and there is the triple kill. A 5 versus 4 situation gets turned around against Method. And Dignitas is having just none of it.
Pulverize, 75% slow for 1 second, helping secure those kills. Tracer chasing down. Malfurion also poking where he can. And you love Tassadar coming in with the double side storm to get that kill.
Maiev just couldn't get away from it. They were trying to set up something and it just didn't work out. You have Tassadar Storms already softening everyone up, then Junkrat can chip in. In this case, he was, of course, still missing, but the damage output that we saw from Stitches alone was already enough, and all of a sudden, the momentum is swinging in favor of Dignitas. Fort in the mid lane taken out, bam, the fort at the top lane is gone. Method has their own 20, but they're going to lose the wall at the top keep as well, since there's still another 15 seconds on Stukov and Hanzo.
Punisher already being grabbed here. It's at 13-0, and as you mentioned, these 4 pushing in, looking to get some damage on that keep. Should be backing up pretty soon, but they can, of course, make sure that they push in with this Night Camp and make sure it's nice and alive. Hanzo now finally spawns. You got to watch out for that Dragon's Arrow to come from spawn base, so they go ahead and back away. And Team Dignitas in a commanding lead, but Method right behind him. They hit level 20.
The problem is the Punisher. That's now a 17-minute Punisher, and your keep wall is already down. This should, by all means, be keep. We're going to see an attempt to bait it into the mid lane, but this could hurt now. Dignitas has, with this triple kill that we saw, just opened up the game completely for themselves. And this is now a situation where Method is just forced into a defensive spot. And that keep should fall. Archon is already being dropped here right away. The Riptire comes out. Nice dodge with the Iron Skin, making sure that the hook doesn't connect. The Riptire is also eliminated. It's a good start for Method with the defense, but the keep is still going to fall. This is something they're not going to save. Question is, can Dignitas get more? And they're going to try.
Hook's about to be up in 2 seconds. JPL steps up. It's a little bit of a slow here. Chitin backwards, trying to find a target and hit. Iron Skin comes out. Johanna able to bait over the Punisher to the middle lane. And Team Dignitas is actually looking to get some damage on this keep. Schwimpy goes in for the tether, gets pulled in. 3 pulled in, into the silence, into a Warden's cage. That is 2 deleted.
2 are going down here, and Arcana surviving even. Nice, not even proccing his 20. Great job, Junkrat down, and so is Tassadar. The small hit point pool again working against him here. Method, they lose the keep, but they get the kills, and they still hold on to this game. What can they do with that situation now, with that 5 versus 3? They're trying to invade, and JPL realizes, maybe not the smartest move to go for that.
Back up there.
Not fast enough. But the question still stands. How much can Method get out of this? Are we going to see a keep wall fall? Can they at least take that? They have the push in the mid lane. They can go for that.
If they can, they should be able to grab a wall. They have a Sonya here, as long as she doesn't get hooked over. Hook comes out. JPL tossing that out, and that will be this keep wall in the middle. This was pushed in from the mercenaries that were grabbed earlier because it did destroy the fort. That's 2 turrets and now a game. 13 seconds for Tassadar to be up as well as Junkrat. So Method needs to posture just a little bit, but decided to start backing up soon. Don't want to get caught out, and there they go. Top lane continues to push in for Method as well, but at least keeps in here for Team Dignitas, whereas Method has catapults pushing in their top lane against them.
And we already remember how much these catapults did in the last game. The Winions basically deciding the Dragonshire game against Method in favor of Dignitas. So now we're waiting again for another shrine to activate on the map. Lane pressure is established by Method. They need to do that. They also need to make sure that they're pushing out the top lane. That's the one where the catapults are going to pressure, and maybe they can even get a kill here at some point. I really love the setups that we oftentimes see now. When everything works out for them with the cage, now with the silence on that last fight, that was really looking good. But outside of that, they really need to try and get these silences, then Maiev tethering the target back in, keeping it in locked place. If that happens against Junkrat or against Tracer, even Tacita, there's very little that you can do to keep those two or those three alive. The hit point pool is just so small.
Gotta be careful of that silence. I mean, Tacita couldn't even dimensional shift away. That's twice now he's been killed because he couldn't slam out that button to escape away from his opponent. Now, Team Dignitas starting to get the map under their control back a little bit here, as Method is pushing all those lanes, but now they can start to respawn a little bit. Shrine activating pretty soon. And this next shrine will be in the bottom lane, meaning Dignitas will have that Punisher to push into that fort and that keep, but they have the option to go in the top lane and maybe push in with those catapults. So things are available for Team Dignitas to do to get a win. Now on the other side, Method, if they can take this Punisher, they can go straight for the keep, and that's where they can try and get that win.
Yeah, timing that camp would also be great if they can do that properly, and they should. Yeah, Shrine activating, so you wait that out a bit. And once that you take that camp, because you took the camp away from Dignitas earlier towards the top right side, you will be in a spot where that top lane is not a problem for you. So that top lane is going to get counter-pushed even with the catapults. You buy yourself more time where you can play around the shrine. Since let's face it, this could be the last shrine of the game. 22 minutes in, there is a good chance. And this is going to be definitely a very heavily fought over battle that we're now seeing between the two teams. So you want to have all the time in the world. And that fountain that we see here, that's a big plus for Method.
That it is.
And it's an Arcane Punisher too, by the way.
That gives them a couple of chances to go in for one full and engage. If it doesn't work out, they can back up, tap, and come back in. Arcana steps up. Gets
Arrow.
a condemn. There goes the arrow. It is on top of Junkrat into the Blessed Shield. JPL gets pulled forward. Getting healed up, also getting some shields.
The cleanse was really important on Snitch. Here comes again the Reptile. Some damage, but it's not enough. They still hold the position. Arcane, on the other hand, he's in trouble. Procking his 20, procking the Indestructible, and Method doesn't get as many stacks on these minions as they really wanted to. They have taken the lead, but it's not really significant yet. And we have Whoopi with a Twilight Archon, and here comes the kill. Johanna goes down as we have Tracer going for it. Hanzo is also falling. Dignitas with a double, Dignitas with a triple, and they're going in for kill number 4. Ethereal isolated. He is going to die. Can he get the counter kill? He cannot, and now they're eliminating Curson.
Curson gets taken out, and that's going to be a full team wipe. Method cleans, or gets cleaned up by Team Dignitas on that bottom shrine, and Dignitas will go right through the wall here in the middle, keep up with the Archon, and just go straight for the core. A quick back and forth between these teams, but Dignitas has proven that they're able to handle these team fights to a T. They'll burn down this core and go up 2-0.
Dropping Broccoli to soak a few shots of the keepers there, moving through the mid lane, and this is going to be it as Dignitas takes their second win. Infernal Shrines taking the victory here after the success on Dragonshire. Great play by Team Dignitas as they are establishing their dominance once again.
I just felt like Dignitas was in control the entire time. Even with a couple of kills that came in from Method, it felt like, okay, Dignitas kind of overextended here, and they got punished for it. Like